Welcome back to the kickoff. Today we are talking Tottenham Hotspur 1, Manchester United 0. Two teams that are a shadow of their former selves, but Man United in particular now in deep trouble, dropping down to 15th. And, we're coming to the end of February and they don't look like they're going to get a win anyway. Earlier this season, we did a video, lads, debating the biggest flop of the top six. Is it Spurs? Is it Man United? At the time, Spurs were the ones that people were flaming, but it feels like it's now Man United. What do you reckon?
KG, you want to take a photo? Your face is absolutely killing me right now. I was trying to hold in the laugh.
KG's the only man not laughing.
I'm fuming. That's what I'm saying, and it's so annoying because I feel like Jordy was waiting for this moment like his whole life, really. He's been waiting for the demise of my club. And I hate the fact of who I'm doing this with. It's you, Jacob. Seeing Jacob today, new hairstyle, don't know what's going on. Everything's pissing me off, to be honest. But let's talk about it. My team are in severe mud and I don't know where the points are coming from. And I'm like, you lot said earlier, and I was refuting, and you guys were right again. You guys told me these INEOS guys, are you sure? And I was behind it. I said, yep, INEOS going to be great. Talking about all the people they brought in. Showed Dan Ashworth for the longest time. Dan Ashworth spent more time on gardening leave than he has actually in the job. He was there for such a short time. And guess what? Nothing's working. You brought in a new manager that plays a brand new system. You gave him one signing and you let him get rid of, and I get he's doing the company man thing and saying it was my decision. You let him get rid of attackers. There's no new attackers. So you're now telling me Zirkzee, broken Ahmad now, injured out for the rest of the season. It is Zirkzee, Garnacho and Rasmus Hojlund for Man United. This wouldn't even happen at a mid-table, a lower side. I wouldn't do this. This is negligence, bro. The club should be taken away from them.
In defense of INEOS, this is the thing. It's not like they haven't spent money. They've come in and they have spent money. It's just where the money has been spent. Obviously, if you sold Garnacho, the last time I heard he was being linked with a move for like 60 odd million. And Zirkzee and Hojlund cost a fortune because they were promising young stars and no one thought of going for anyone with a proven track record. Just to give you a little bit of a stats, lad, on how things are going under Amorim. Pre-Amorim, Manchester United were 9th in XG and 12th in points per game. Now, they're 14th in XG, so they're creating a lot less than what they were under Ten Hag, and they're 15th in points per game. And 17% of Tottenham's XG this season has actually come against Manchester United. That they played them, obviously they've beaten them 3 times this season. So the thing that I think that we could start off on, lads, is just Amorim and the fact that it is absolutely clearly getting worse under him. And I think that my thing as an opponent of Man United earlier this season when I watched Newcastle play is just how easy Man United are to play against and to play through. You could have driven a bus between the central midfielders and the gap between those central midfielders and the defence. It's so easy to expose the space in that team. Did you see that, Craig? Obviously with Tottenham going forward against them.
Yeah, I was shocked. Well, I wasn't shocked because Man United have been dross all season, but we're really bad as well. And I haven't been rating the way we play.
Yeah.
When I was watching that game yesterday, for the first, 30 minutes to 40 minutes, it was too easy. They were making us look like Real Madrid, the way we were bopping it around. Like, we were actually in control of most of the game. They were camping back in their half. We were dominating the ball, trying to whip balls in, find pockets of space. But like you said, Brian, there was so much space in that gap there for us, for our players to do what they were doing. Madison, Bergvall was having a bit of joy there. My thing with Amorim is that I just don't think this stubbornness is going to lead him nowhere. He's got the grace of the fact that these are not his players, and now he's got loads of injuries, something that we've been dealing with all season. And I thought it was interesting what Ange said after the game about how, I ain't got no sympathy for him because no one had sympathy for us. But we'll get into Spurs and Ange in a minute. But I do think Amorim does need to switch things up. If you haven't got the players, you need to start tweaking things more. And that stubbornness that Amorim's having, it's going to lead to his demise, in my opinion, because let's be real. Ten Hag was terrible at Man United, especially towards the end. And even the most stern Man United fans had to switch on Ten Hag. But the way Amorim's come in, what have they got? 8 defeats in 12 games now. That's terrible. For anyone, that's terrible. But for Manchester United, let's be real, that's sack-worthy. Like, if he was to get sacked, no one could question that. The only thing they have to hold on to with this guy right now is the fact that they got rid of the manager almost halfway through the season and the fact that these are not his players. If he made some big signings in the January window and then this was still happening, I think his head would really be on the chopping block now. But I think, a lot of the fan base have just kind of resigned to the fact that this is a nothing season. And as long as we don't get relegated, maybe in the summer, we'll give him some players and then he gets to go again. But the signs are not looking good for him right now.
I think Man United are really not used to being in this situation, and therefore, obviously this is brand new for them, right, to struggle. But the one thing I remember throughout the time at Newcastle of watching us struggle like this is you got to become hard to beat. You've just got to pick up points somehow. And Rafa Benitez used to always talk about being compact. Like, you got to flood the spaces. You don't want wide open space where people can play through you. And it feels like he's trying to run before they can even walk. Like, the one thing that you could look at a Ten Hag side and go, what's the worst thing we could do here? Play a system that the players we have just completely unsuited for. He's making life harder for himself, not easier. And
also, I just wanted to say, I don't think having an eccentric manager right now from a mental standpoint is probably the best thing either. Because with him, you just don't know what he's going to say in the post-match press conference or pre-match.
The way he's talking is mad. Like, it is crazy the way he's talking in interviews, the way he's talking down those players, the way he's talking down the club. Like he's coming out and saying, like, no one knows how hard this job is. No one knows how tough it is for me right now. Like, I'm watching, I'm like, do you feel sorry for yourself? Do you know what I mean?
He definitely does. He definitely does, bro.
He should, though. He should, because I left the situation. I was playing Champions League football. You lot said it's now or never, and you haven't given me the tools to do the job now.
But why was he
so I would be pissed off. I wasn't losing games. He should have got someone. You can't get rid of a Marcus Rashford and an Anthony and give him nothing. Yes, he's going to be a company man and not go in and go crazy, but the last person that told the truth, Ralph Ragnick, who was supposed to go upstairs, never got to do his job again. So what's he going to do? He has to toe the company line and say, yeah, it's my decision. I wanted to do this. He didn't want to do this. The simple matter of you guys are being so indecisive. The Dan Ashworth one has to stink out. It has to be the main thing that we should be looking at. We chased this man for so long, said Newcastle are moving mad, this, that, and the other, only to sack him 3 or 4 weeks later. This guy's supposed to be changing the culture of the club. And now, guess what? It's not like we're saying we don't need that position anymore. We're trying to look for a new one from Atletico.
Okay. I've got a question for you. I've got a question for you, bro. If we're taking the blame off of Amorim and we're putting the blame elsewhere, how do you explain the fact that since Amorim has came in, he has clearly made things quite a lot worse?
Can I jump in? Can I just jump in quickly? Why are we taking the blame away from Amorim? Every other club has got an injury crisis. Like, I'm Arsenal. We didn't get anyone in January. KG, you talk about your forward line. We got a year 11 on the right wing. We got Raheem Sterling, and then we got a left winger at number 9, and that's it. We're winning games by sticking a Spanish midfielder who's barely played this season at number 9. Everyone's got an injury crisis. We don't have a sporting director either, mate.
They're Arteta and Amorim situations, though. Arteta's been there for a long time. Okay. He's built a foundation for these players to play off. I think for Amorim, it's a bit different. None of these are his players.
Let's compare it to David Moyes then, because David Moyes has just taken over a relegation scrapping side. Let's look at what he's done. In 14 games under Amorim, they've got 14 points. In just 6 games, Moyes has 13 points. And that is about being a man manager, motivating your players, which are clearly not, the Man United players are not motivated. And that partly is down to them as well, in my opinion.
And it's a system that they're comfortable in. Everton playing that system, they've just gone back to the Everton that we've always known. Mm-hmm. Everton have just going back to being who they've always been. Man United, the worst thing about Man United is we are playing a system that is alien to the players. That's what you can say on Amorim, but you lot, the man, they requested that. Imagine saying to someone, come here and do that here, and then saying, I don't need to do that no more. He didn't ask them to come for him, They came to him mid-season and said, it's not like, they signed him at the beginning of the season. They said, you know what, now this ain't working. We need you to adapt. It's literally saying, come from where you are, come to this restaurant that we have now and make a totally different cuisine that you're used to making. And the fact that all the legends are piling on is a bit weird to me because yes, he's not had the best of start, but he's not it's like, you talk about cause and effect. He has not been the cause of this. He's not been the cause of this, but we're going to blame his effects on the pitch. I don't think it's right. I think it's a disgrace how we've been run. And I think now it's just what are you saying? The chickens have come home to roost, or one of them lines there. Yeah. All of the shit decisions that we've made is now here right now. We're facing it. And he's going to get the blame, but guess what? We're going to do the exact same thing. Then he's going to go off, swan off somewhere, get a pre-season, do well again.
Do you think the conversation wasn't had though, bro? Do you think the conversation from INEOS, like, because if I'm INEOS or either side of this of Amorim, and we're looking at getting rid of Marcus Rashford, who this weekend created more big chances in just 45 minutes than any other Premier League player, or Anthony, who's got 3 goals in 3 games, actually 4 goals and assists in 3 games. If we're getting rid of those, we've got to look at, right, well, are we bringing anyone in? Because if I'm Amorim and I say, I want to get rid of these players, can I bring someone else in? And they go, no. I then hold on to them because beggars can't be choosers. The fact that he's gotten rid of them, has that conversation been had between him and INEOS, in your opinion?
I don't know what you lot think about this, but it's just weird. I think it's really weird that you could see that this guy wasn't in for 7 or something games. The team should be preparing, which we spoke about Tell, and we were serious about Tell. Obviously, Spurs beat us to the player, but then he knew he was trying to get rid of an attacker. With the attack force, imagine just having Rasmus Hojlund and Zirkzee, a strike force that have only added they got 5 goals between them in February. No manager says, guess what? This is going to be enough. No manager, unless he's an absolute psycho. If you lot are now telling me this guy's a psycho, then cool. But I don't know what to say.
So logically, they've lied to Amorim then, because otherwise, why would Amorim have let these geezers go?
What do you not think? Do you
know what I think? He burned those guys like before the window. He wasn't using Rashford. He was saying he'd rather use a goalkeeping coach than Rashford. So unless he went in there, and this might have happened, by the way. I'm not here to defend United's owners, right, INEOS, because they've done some mad stuff. But like, unless he went in there into the job and said, look, I'm not going to use Rashford. I've heard about how he trains. I've heard about how he behaves off the pitch. I'm not going to use him as soon as I get in there. I want him out of the club in January and I want reinforcements. If they've had that conversation and he was promised reinforcements, then fair. I look at the way that other managers come into clubs, and I just think you need to be a little bit more pragmatic. I think you need to be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah,
you need to be able to say, you know what? I haven't got a 3-4-3 team. I can change. I can change in game.
Or have a plan B. If it isn't working.
If there's a guy there who, let's be honest, has talent that no one else has, you cannot tell me that Rashford is less talented than Hojlund, less talented than Zirkzee. Like, Zirkzee looked like he should be playing in Game for Hope. He's got all the touch, but he can't run. Like, he looks like Del Piero at 45. Like,
it's so true.
He cannot. He cannot, like, unless he was told he's going to get reinforcements, then fair. But like, if you haven't, and you've got a player like Rashford, like, I'm sorry to compare, but like, I look at when Mikel came to Arsenal, he clearly didn't want Ozil. He used Ozil for the first few months because, you know what, he had nothing else. He wanted to play 4-3-3, but we didn't have the players for it, so he played 3 at the back. Pep did exactly the same thing when he first went to City. He played 3 at the back. Like, you have to be a pragmatist sometimes. You have to do what you got to do. And I've got to be honest, United are lucky that there are 5 teams that are so much worse. Because honestly, this could get relegation. Yeah. Like, if there weren't 3 teams that have come up that are shit, Wolves are in a bad way, West Ham are bad. Apart from those teams, there is no one worse than United in this league.
And now, a word from our sponsors. Everyone online needs a VPN, not only to be safe and secure, but also to get access to some sweet, sweet content. And that is where Surfshark comes in, because a VPN is basically like wearing a pair of trousers outside. All the stuff that you want to keep private stays private. And Surfshark helps keep your whole online activity encrypted so you can browse privately. And you can block ads and travel the world in one click. And say, for example, you're in the UK, you want to watch the 3 p.m. football on a Saturday, but you can't in the UK. But in Spain and America and other countries like that, you can. And that doesn't just apply to sport. You can change your Netflix location to get better Netflix, or watch things like Hulu and other content from America. And another big help is when you're out and about, if you want to do online banking and you're on a public network, anyone can snoop and have a look at what you're up to. But when you use Surfshark, you can mask your IP so all your traffic is encrypted, which means your personal info stays personal to you. I use Surfshark for all my devices and only on one subscription. You can log into as many as you want, and they have 24/7 support if you need any help. And if you want to get Surfshark, you can click the link in the description or use the QR code on the screen now. And you can get 4 months extra of Surfshark for an unbeatable price. And the best bit is they give you a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there is no risk in trying it out. Just click the link in the description below and now go to surfshark.com/kickoff and you can get 4 months extra of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. So big thanks to Surfshark for the security and that sweet content, but for now, enjoy the video.
Something I just can't get out of my mind, and I think it was the biggest roll of the dice for Amorim, was when he said this is the worst Man United team in Premier League history. When he said that, it was such a gamble to say that, in my opinion, so early in your tenure at Man United. It was going to have one of two effects. It was either going to light that fire up their backside to get them to go, nah, like, I'm going to prove him wrong. That we can't have that. Like, he's chucking us out in front of everyone. Or it was going to do the opposite effect and kind of make the players feel like, this guy's just come in and just said this, like, we're that bad. And it looks like, based on the evidence going forward so far since he said that, because how long's it been now? About a month since he said that?
It's getting worse since then.
Things haven't improved. Yeah. Things haven't improved. And that was a very polarizing statement. I've never seen a manager say that before, by the way. I can't recall a manager saying this is the worst team in the club's history.
It's absolutely insane.
When you really break down the statement, it's a really, really big statement and bold statement to make.
It's true.
And
it's true.
And things haven't improved since. So,
God.
It's true though.
No, whether it's true or not, you don't have to offer these things to the media. These can be things internally that you have, or conversations you have with the players, or conversations you have with your staff. The moment you put it out there into the ether, it becomes this whole thing.
Yeah.
It becomes this whole dialogue.
Question, lads, though. If Amorim had have said, I know the media think that this is the worst Man United team ever, but I'm with them day in, day out, and I see the quality that we have, and I'm confident that these lads are going to show you eventually, it's a completely different spin on it, and it's a positive attitude. What we're seeing from Amorim, and again, I do think that KJ is spot on in that INEOS have made a fucking pig's ear of it, but what I'm seeing from Amorim is a defeated attitude. It's a feel sorry for himself attitude. That resolute team spirit that you need to build, because I've fucking been there many times watching Newcastle and many relegation dogfights. You need to build this us against the world mentality. It seems like he is so angry at these players, much like you know when you've seen footballers from years gone by where they'd get frustrated that players couldn't do what they had do. Like a Roy Keane, for example. He feels angry at them.
He feels
and ultimately, he needs them. He needs to get them on side. And you're not going to do that by doing them down like that.
I think he feels duped because he said some things that are questionable. There was one of the lines he said, listen, we beat Man City. And he said, well, I know these players can get up for games like this. It's the games against teams where we're supposed to win, where that's where I need to see them. I need to know if they're going to show up in those ones. And then we go and get touched by, I don't know if it was,
as much.
Like we go and get moved to in the next game and we embarrass ourselves.
Yeah.
So this is when the hardest thing for me is everyone's now got this thing and it's Amorim's the new talking point, but let's get it right. Man United have been shit for years. So even when these guys are saying go back and play a different system, well, the last system got the last manager sacked. So, and then cause it's not their friends anymore, you got, Gary Neville and you got all the rest of the special class piping up saying, well, they've got all these things to say about the players and the club now, but you've allowed your friend to run things at this club for years, spend a lot of money and nothing was happening. There was nothing to say. And now all of a sudden, you lot are the most vocal we've ever seen. You've got a young player in, you've talked about pressure and stuff and they've been cussing out Rashford themselves. And all of a sudden, now it's just Amorim's fault. Amorim's the only one that could see the issue of Rashford. Wayne Rooney was on the overlap with all of them saying he needs to get out of there. He's not interested. Well, where's that gone now? And now he's a great player and Man United should play him. You lot were just saying another thing a few days ago.
Yeah, but
it's embarrassing.
You've been 15th in the league on Valentine's Day shit. Like you've never been that. This is rock bottom. This is rubber. And I'm saying this as a Spurs fan who I've terrible. Honestly, I'm not even, and that's why I'm not even getting too excited about all of this because like we've done a league double review and that's the first time in my lifetime I've ever seen that. And it doesn't feel good because you lot aren't good. So, and we're shit as well. That just shows how bad Man United are right now. Like, you're Man United. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that should never be happening.
Let's highlight some of the players. Obviously, I think Casemiro, I don't even know if he's even worth highlighting because we've come to expect it. Whoever sanctioned that signing and the 350 grand a week is insane, and they shouldn't be working in football. Bruno Fernandes, captain, right? Not a captain's performance. That was
stinkiest performance I've ever seen.
Please, because this is what I wanted to talk about. This guy quickly. I know I've yapped on. Yeah, I've said for years, Bruno Fernandes is overrated. I've said this, and people kill me when I say it. And when I say that, especially Man United fans, they get heated because they think I'm saying he's shit. I'm not saying Bruno Fernandes is shit. He's clearly a good footballer, but the reality is he's not a great footballer. They were talking about this guy like he's in the Kevin De Bruyne, Martin Odegaard, like he was in this category of footballer. And I categorically said he is not in that category. And this season, when you need someone to be a leader, he has not stepped up and been a leader. He throws tantrums. He loses the ball a lot. And I know people go, oh yeah, but he's trying those creative passes. Like, he's trying to play it forward. He does, but a lot of the time it just doesn't come off. And I'm looking at his stats this season, 5 goals, 6 assists. In 25 games in the Premier League. It's just not enough. Like, James Madison has 9 goals in the Premier League, and he's been injured half of the time. Like, I don't know what Bruno Fernandes is doing, but he needs to step up more. And I know he's won silverware, so, that's still...
No, he embarrassed himself, but I don't think that's fair. I think the true, I don't think he's overrated, because who rates him? Who rates him outside of, who rates him? You say he's overrated. Well, who's rating him?
People used
just Man United fans.
People used to do that.
No, because I think he's a player that's struggling in a terrible team, and outside of this team, he does well anywhere. It's like every Manchester United player playing here, it's not working. You put him somewhere where he can thrive and do well, you're gonna see it from Rashford. We're now seeing it from Anthony. You're gonna have to put him on that same list as well. Then we're gonna say, another player at Man United. We're just ruining players.
I've got a question, lads, about this, because it's an interesting theory from KJ, and we have seen evidence of people leaving Man United and going on to, immediately turn up. Jacob, I want to ask you, Rasmus Hojlund, right? If we put him in another team, like KJ is saying, is he going to be a quality centre forward? Because I'm watching him now, and I've got my big doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we did a show on the kickoff last year. We're talking about the top 5 strikers in the league. People were mentioning his name. And I remember seeing comments, people saying, how can you not have Hojlund in there? I'm watching Beto at Everton. That's a better striker. Like, I'm sorry. There are so many. This Chris Wood would do better in that Man United team. And that's not me trolling, by the way. Chris Wood is levels above Hojlund. It's a joke. Like,
yeah.
It's not just, there is a player in there. Don't get me wrong. There is a player in there. Like, his physicality, he's got something, but like, I do think there's some truth in what KG's saying of like, this just is not an environment to develop talent. It's not. There's no cohesive thinking about the style of play. Like Zirkzee, I can take the mick about Zirkzee saying he should be game of hope, but like, why did they buy Zirkzee? If you're going to play a system with 1 9, why buy another 9 that you can't have them both on the same pitch at the same time? It doesn't make any sense. Like, and the Bruno thing, I'm kind of with you, Craig. I don't think he's De Bruyne levels. I think he's shown this season that he's probably Odegaard levels. But in the same way that we say for Amorim's come in, but he's not had players and he's not been given this. What about Bruno? What's Bruno been given? Bruno looks behind him in midfield and sees Casemiro. Like, he's not given who's he trying to thread through balls to? We say that he tries to play Hollywood passes.
Rasmus and Zirkzee, that's who he's playing to.
So who's going to get on the end of them? I'm not, this isn't me defending Bruno. He's a dreadful captain, Bruno. He's a dreadful captain. Mm-hmm. But what's he supposed to do? Reject the armband? Say, no, that's not the kind of guy I am. Like, he's their best player. He has to take it.
But on Rasmus again, here's the thing where you say there's a player in there. I genuinely am starting to wonder if there is, right? Because obviously they spent a lot of money on him. He had a good run of games before they bought him. But I mean, his finishing's not great, and the rest of his game looks fucking terrible, to be honest.
To me, like, his touch is so bad.
I don't know what he's good at, mate. I can't.
His touch is, see, yesterday, for the first time, the only thing they did good for Rasmus is they've been playing long balls to him, and he can't hold up the ball. Finally, Zirkzee and that were playing it into the channels, and he was running onto stuff, and that's where he's better. Yeah. That's where he's more dangerous. Man United took how many games? This is where Amorim doesn't get a blight. This is what this player's good at. Let him play to those strengths. You hoofing it from Onana into him makes no sense. It's actually stupid. It's counterproductive. And Amorim needs to, that's on Amorim. Yesterday, I saw a better version of Erasmus and it was really terrible because the bar is in hell. But finally, we saw him involved in a game. Defenders have had more shots on goal than Rasmus. How's he going to score goals then?
Yeah.
If he's not shooting, that don't make no sense. He's taken 11, something stupid like 20 shots this season. Is that normal? That's not even right. That's ridiculous. Lissandro shot more than him. In this calendar, what are we talking about?
No, Garnacho, speaking of bad accuracy, Garnacho had a really big chance. He had multiple chances actually to score.
This is a brutal show.
I feel sorry for people. Garnacho really, that was brutal, man. And here's the interesting thing is like, he's a young lad. He's the kind of player you want to have a bit of confidence in these moments, take the pressure off and think, play like he's on the playground sort of thing. But he is skying them over the bar.
Right,
and I'm looking
crazy.
Why is he worth like 60 odd million, like, or whatever it is? When, I don't know, he's lively, but he's wasteful.
Was Chelsea actually going to prepare to pay that for him?
Mate, his agent was at Stamford Bridge. His agent was at Stamford Bridge. I mean, look, KG, you should have took the money.
No,
if the money's there.
Absolutely not. Because guess
60 million quid.
Hang on,
60 million quid.
What we have done? No, I need 70. I need 70 to 80. I need big money.
Yeah,
you know why? Because if they can get all the money they got from us for Mason Mount, I want revenge. I need revenge. There's no way, because if this player, let's say right now, I have to go in and watch his performances week out. Luckily, Jadon Sancho's doing the freedom fighting thing, so he's performing like garbage. But if he was performing great week in, week out, that would hurt. We now got to watch Aston Villa performances and look at Rashford tracking back, and I don't want to see Garnacho. If they're gonna make us go through that, pay the premium so we can say, you know what, fair dues. You know, because even when Arsenal fans sing the Waka Waka Havertz song, at least it's almost like, well, you know what, it's not really, well, some Arsenal fans might feel differently, but you say 60 million down the drain, he's scoring goals for us. Mm-hmm. What are we going to do? What are we going to do in this situation? Absolutely not. This is all we have. And that's why I'm not even going to go too hard on the kid, because literally it's just him now. If he has a bad game, a 21-year-old or 20-year-old winger has to save Man United. That's a disgrace.
Well, should Amorim not have played the kids more? Should he not have given a lot of the kids? Because he brought them all and then he got like 3 minutes, didn't even get a kick.
Why not give them more of a chance? Bro, trying to learn their names, bro. You don't even know who they are. Like, these kids are all got these upgrades and stuff. We've seen Chido and Heaven, and we stole 2 from Arsenal. But then after he's gonna, with Fergie, he's bring like 1 or 2 through. This guy had his player that was bringing through, Collier, who was playing instead of Casemiro. You can't expect him to put 5 debutants at Man United.
Would that not lighten the pressure on him, though? Like, think about all the pressure that's on Amorim right now. If he could literally say to the fans, look, I'm playing the kids, fuck it. Like, would the fans not...
Yeah.
Would the fans not cut him a bit more slack, Amorim, instead of just persisting with something that isn't working, maybe?
I know, man.
Right. On INEOS, here's my confusion, because I understand that INEOS have fucked this up, but I feel like INEOS have tried to make the fans happy over time. Like, in terms of, there was a feeling that Ten Hag was probably going to get the sack when they came in, and instead they stuck by him. They backed him in the summer, which was what the fans were asking for after winning the cup final. And then when it became pretty much, unbearable, they sacked Ten Hag, which seemed to make sense at the time. They go and hire a young, manager with a great reputation in Europe. I think a lot of people agreed with that decision at the time. And now they're in a position where, because they backed Ten Hag so heavily, they couldn't spend as much as they wanted to in January, which I think is understandable, even though they've clearly bought the wrong players. But at the time, they're listening to guidance from Dan Ashworth or whoever the fuck it is, assuming, and Ten Hag. I think they have tried to some degree. I just think they've got really bad judgment.
They're pricks. They don't get any ratings. They don't get no credit. They're dickheads. These guys are taking jobs away, and then they spend all that. Just imagine, you're sacking people. You spoke about bringing Manchester back That was the line. Giving Manchester back to the fans. They spoke about sports washing, all that other good stuff. And look at this. These guys have sacked off a lot of locals. They're talking about job. Everything they said they was going to, if they imagine Qatar came in and did this. Cancel Christmas. The whole, the money that the people are supposed to be getting, they changed that, cut back the vouchers, take away, said everyone's paying over the odds fees. And they're saying then comparing to Fulham. This guy's not in touch. This guy, there's nothing mank about this guy. There's nothing. This guy, Sir Jim, all his cronies. And then after the bad decisions, and then they get a new manager who plays a different system and don't give him his players. They're pricks, bro. I don't want to swear, but fuck INEOS, fam. And the whole, all of them, bro. Fuck all of them, bro.
I hear you. That side of it is really bad. And it's ironic because it was all like, a homegrown lad from Manchester buys the club back sort of vibes. And the way he's treated the staff, the locals who work for the club day in, day out hasn't been good. Whereas ironically, if you'd gone abroad and got an owner, he probably wouldn't have done that.
Never have done any of this.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Spurs before we wrap this up, lads, because I wasn't really that impressed with Spurs either. In fact, I understand they've got a few players, they've got a lot of players injured, but even for the players that they had on the pitch, I expected a bit better from them, and I kind of just don't understand. I still don't get why the supporters coming for Big Ange when I'm watching this, because I felt like they did everything they could to throw it away.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know how I feel about Ange Postecoglou. I think he's out of his depth. I think he's shown this season that the Premier League, his style of football, it just doesn't work there. And let's be real, Manchester United should have scored yesterday. I don't know how we got out of there with a clean sheet. We never have, I think we've only kept a couple clean sheets the whole of the season, and we haven't won at home for the last 6-7 games. So for Man United to come there and let us get a clean sheet just speaks how bad they are. But yeah, with Ange Postecoglou, he's been making excuses all season. His defenders have been using his excuses to keep him in the job. Oh yeah, the injuries. Don't get me wrong, the injuries have had an effect on Spurs. We'd probably be a bit higher up the table if we didn't have those injuries. But the reality is, we've been dwelling around 14th, 15th, 13th. That is terrible. A lot of people were relying on these cup competitions. Oh yeah, but we're in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. We can go to Anfield and beat them. No, we can't. We were never going to Anfield and beating Liverpool. I don't know what psychedelics these people are taking. What mushroom chocolate, weed. I don't know what was going on. But you were never going to Anfield. We were never going to Anfield and beating them in the Carabao Cup. So that got squashed immediately. Then we went to Aston Villa and they completely schooled us. And now we've got fans still saying that Spurs, oh yeah, but we can win the Europa League. We can win the Europa League. No, we can't win the Europa League. We can't defend. In order to win games and actually be successful, you have to be able to do both sides of the game. Attack, defend. There has to be a sort of balance going on to be a good team. And Spurs do not have that. The only reason we didn't draw or lose the game yesterday is because Man United are just void of confidence, and they didn't have their shooting boots on. And Postecoglou, we just need to get to the end of the season, get as high up the table as we possibly can, which is probably 10th, 9th, if we're lucky when the players start coming back, and then sack him in the summer. I want him out. I still want him out. He needs to go.
Craig, do you not think in the last few weeks we've seen a few times where he has adapted his tactics a little bit? Just a bit. He's not done the high line thing quite so much. Do you know what I mean?
No, he has. I think he played 3 defensive midfielders in one game at one time. He had to, though. He had to do that. And do you know what the hilarious thing is, Jacob? We still couldn't defend. He changed it, he adapted it, and we were still just conceding shots, targets. Because this is clearly a manager that just has not worked on that side of his coaching. He just hasn't. He hasn't, because his philosophy is, I'm in Australia, I'm in Japan, I'm in Scotland. We just attack. You get to the Premier League and you're up against good opposition with good players. It ain't going to work. So unless he starts really coaching that side of his game, I don't see it improving, to be honest. I thought we weren't great yesterday, put it that way. And we started to tail off in the second half.
Yeah.
We started the game strong, and in the second half we tailed off. Man United started dominating for a little period. But luckily, like I said, they haven't got confidence right now.
And for Spurs, you look to players like Son who can dig you out, and he just doesn't look the same anymore. He looks like he's done, really. The version of him that we once knew doesn't look like it's ever coming back.
Nah, you can see he's on the decline. At first I was trying to say, it's to do with Ange's style of football. But to be honest, it's looking like yesterday he was just losing the ball. He was making a couple runs. He wasn't picking the right passes. And he's the captain as well. And Son's never been a captain. I don't know I don't want my captain to be someone that cries regularly. That's not a captain to me. If you cry, and I like Son as a guy, everyone does. He's, you know what I'm saying? And he's been a great player in the Premier League. If you cry regularly, you are not captain material. I remember watching that documentary on Prime with Jose, and Lloris completely hammered him. Remember, even Lloris, as shit as he was towards the end of his career at Spurs, he was more of a captain from in the sticks than Son is. He's just a crybaby. I don't need that as the captain of my club.
Toxic masculinity on the kickoff. We love it. We love it. Crybabies, all right?
I don't want a crybaby.
Do you know what I say with Son?
Can we just talk about quickly? Can we just quickly talk about Madison though?
No, let Jacob jump in on Son real quick.
The quick thing I want to say with Son is it's interesting watching Son, right? Because what's Son now? 33? 33?
Yeah, around about 32, 33. Yeah.
32, 33. So same age as Mo Salah. And I honestly, I think he's a better finisher than Salah. But I think the way you use him, still on the touchline, still up and down, still trying to help her with that.
They need to do what they did to Ronaldo and just stick them on the penalty spot now.
He's the best finisher at your club. He's one of the best finishers in the league. Like, I'll still never forgive him for what he fucking did against Man City end of last season. I swear on my fucking life, he missed that deliberately. He can score that goal in his sleep. I just look at Ange's system a little bit and I'm like, Tell started at 9 yesterday. I'm like, really? Not Son? I've seen Son good.
That blows my mind as well, because Tell can obviously run a little bit. He's a young footballer, but he is. I mean, look, I'm only going off of minimal footage I've seen on him. He looked fucking terrible in that game. Whenever he got the ball, it was like they'd stuck. He was so wasteful. I thought he looked terrible in that game. Every time he got the ball. It was a matter of time before he just fucked it up every single time. He fucked everything.
The best player on that pitch was Jed Spence. He's absolutely phenomenal. I think he's brilliant. He's
playing him still at left back when Udogie was on the bench. He's still playing him. He needs to move him to the right, drop Porro, and put Udogie back into his place. I don't know why he's still playing him out of position. Like, it don't
quality. He's absolutely out of this world. He's quality.
Madison on TikTok.
No, quickly, Madison. What do you not think of the jab at Roy Keane?
Cringe.
It's cool. It's cute.
To me, it was like...
Top players don't make TikToks. I'm sorry. You do not... Kevin De Bruyne doesn't make TikToks. Like, I'm sorry.
Let's be real, none of them make TikToks, really.
No, but come on, like...
PR, isn't it?
Madison's a cheeky
he actually made a TikTok. Like, he actually made one.
Yeah, he uploaded a TikTok, AJ, basically, of the clip of Roy Keane saying, like, discrediting him, and then him afterwards doing that to the camera, basically. As if to say, saying, shush up, Roy Keane, basically, yeah. If he'd curled it in from 30 yards, I think, fuck it, why not? But it wasn't like he created... Yeah.
Scoring the Onana assist tagging. Fuck off, mate. You gotta be kidding.
So, like, if someone else scored after him, then it would have been, but he was the match winner.
That is so Spurs. I didn't even know he did it. That's Spursy hell. That's like DNA.
He's the most Spurs player I've ever... Honestly, he is. He's
so Spursy.
I cannot believe he wasn't born within fucking half a yard of that stadium. He's the most Spurs player. Fair weather. Turns up 28 games a season.
Because he's won silverware. Didn't he win that FA Cup?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I guess.
You don't win silverware. At least he's won something.
Moving on to the next game. We'll quickly touch on this before we wrap it up, lads. Everton, I mentioned earlier, David Moyes, now 13 points in 6 games. Amorim, 14 points in 14 games. It's amazing the impact Moyes is having. And you kind of look back in time and remember how humiliating it was for David Moyes to have his reputation that he built up over so many years just destroyed within less than a season because he couldn't manage to get top 4. And now Moyes has a chance to really stick the knife in Manchester United. If Everton win this game, you can't not,
they will.
Look at it as a full circle moment of David Moyes, you know, almost having the last laugh a little bit here. I mean, like, you sucked me when I didn't get top 4. Look at you now. And by the way, Everton, I've taken over them 2 minutes ago and we're already leapfrogging you. How bad would that be just optically for Amorim, seeing the impact that Moyes is making and winning against him if it happens?
You're a prick. I just want you to know. Like, it's the way he does it as well. It sounds like a really good question. He sounds like he's doing total journalistic integrity and stuff. You're just a prick.
I'll try.
You make me sick, Carl. This whole show has pissed me off.
This is why when we do fight our press conferences, I should be in the front row asking these fuckers questions, all right? All right.
You make me sick.
What about it,
and we're going to lose. It's not going to be a full circle moment. Stop doing stuff like that. No, it's not. He's bounced around. He got pushed out of West Ham, and yes, he won them a nice cheeky cup. Brilliant. Good for you. Is it what Man United should be doing? Should Man United be talking about leapfrogging a team in 12th or 13th? Absolutely not. We shouldn't even be here. Like, this whole swan song to
Divine
him.
right to win,
What the hell are we doing there? We shouldn't be there for it to be a conversation, but we are there. So now it's like, oh, great for David Moyes. Well done. This is bullshit. It's got nothing to do with Moyes. We just suck.
I can't help but think, though, that when you look at Moyes and the transition he's making with Everton right now, that maybe Man United might need to take a couple of steps back.
We shouldn't be there. We shouldn't be in the position.
But you don't have a divine right to win. It needs to be earned.
Yeah.
And by going to, you know, the best managers in Europe and trying to find the next big thing, you're running before your club can walk. You need to be practical now in order to get to the big boy table again. You're not in the big boy table anymore.
When did they last win the league? Was it 2011-2012 season?
It was a long time.
At what point do you stop talking about Man United like this now?
I think that this is the season. If they finish in 15th or lower, they're evaporated from the conversation now. They're not in the conversation. And Newcastle United take that spot in the big 6. Yes, get in.
Yeah,
right, sorry.
Having these conversations based on history and revenue, how much revenue they make every year. It's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like, and the results on the pitch need to start.
Unless they spend massively this summer, which might give them a prayer next season. We'll wrap it up there. Lads, it's been fucking brilliant. Thank you very much. Really
Thanks so much for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Loved it. We're excited for the next one. Obviously, big full circle moment for David Moyes at Everton. We're looking forward to it. We'll see you on the next one.